I hope everyone had a nice holiday. I know I did. I stayed in Amsterdam, and my parents came to visit me on Christmas Day. And we did the Amsterdam Light Tour. I don't know if you know, probably you do. So my mom and dad really like boats, and I really like art. So I thought that would be the perfect combination. The Amsterdam Light Tour brings you through, so you're on those touristy boats, and you go across all those art exhibitions or art pieces made out of light. And I was really looking forward to it because I really like art, because the thing with art is that there is always an interesting story behind it. It's not necessarily about the art piece itself, it's about the story behind it. So as I was really excited to be on this boat, I got on, and our skipper, who is originally from Amsterdam, he had a really nice accent, we drove off, and he didn't really tell anything about the art pieces. So I remember at some point he said, he literally said something about how, what was it again? He said, I don't know where this is. I don't really know anything about art, but I think they got it from a kringloop or something. Great story behind it. Not really. So I was quite disappointed because I didn't learn anything. I didn't know anything behind it, and so it didn't touch me. For example, one of the art pieces was this. And I think his joke with this one was that someone lost his password with Facebook or something. Great joke. The story behind it, though, was that this is actually the address of a Bitcoin wallet. Bitcoin enthusiast here, I think. And the address was from an organization that organizes events for people with dementia. So it was placed in front of a old bank building, written in handwriting, which is one of the oldest means of medium, and it was the link between the past and the present that made it so interesting, because handwriting was one of the first things that actually showed a currency. So you would write down, this is mine, this is yours, this is how much the value of it is, and that's how it works. So the combination between Bitcoin, cryptocurrency, and the old handwriting was what made it more interesting. I didn't know that then. I looked it up on Google. So that brings me to my first rule. If you can't inspire others, you can't inspire others when you're not inspired yourself. And the skipper didn't have any passion for art, and that's why the whole tour wasn't that interesting. Now, by the way, I'm Robin. I started my career at American Express, and I'm currently working as a freelancer to help companies share their passion and make their customers into their lifelong fans. Because that's one thing that's really exciting, that really excites me. I'm always on the lookout for things that excite me, and I'm always trying to find ways to get myself hyped up. And that's when I listen to very inspiring stories, and when I listen to founders who actually share their passion instead of wanting to sell their products. That's basically what content marketing is about. Now, content marketing and storytelling go hand in hand. It's also the name of this meetup, and all good stories have one thing in common. And good stories are also found in movies, and that's also where you can find the theory from to create the story for your company. One really good story, for example. Anyone know who this is? What is this? Harry Potter, very good. No, I'm kidding. So every story has three things of those four things that every story has in common. One, you have the hero of the story. Second, you have the goal that the hero wants to achieve. Then there's a means to do so. And there's an adversary that stands in his way or her way. This is for every Hollywood movie, every movie you've ever seen, but also goes for your brand. For example, if you look at Nivea, their hero is the everyday woman. The adversary, their goal is to show that every woman is beautiful. No matter what skin color, no matter what size, no matter what hair color, every woman is beautiful. The adversary is the current beauty standard. So, you're right. The Victoria's Secret model, the skinny bitches, they're the adversary. Sorry, pardon my French. The means to do so are the Nivea products. So that goes for every company. And that brings me to rule number 2. Oh, wait, sorry, no. There's one thing missing here in those 4 things. You might notice. It's not about you. Nivea is not in this place at all, except for the products. But not Nivea, the product, like the company itself, the brand Nivea, doesn't go in this place. And that's what brings to rule number 2. Content marketing is like a first date. If all you do is talk about yourself, that will be a second one. In the story, it goes the same. So Nivea is not Luke Skywalker. It's Yoda. It gives them the means, it gives them the lightsaber to conquer his goal, but he is the wisdom behind it, and he gives the knowledge. So that's also how it goes with content marketing. You're not the one who is the hero in the story. Nobody wants to hear that. People want to be the hero in your story, and you're just giving them the means to do so. Another thing is that I skipped it quite briefly, but Luke Skywalker is the hero, and it's not everyone is your hero. So the really important thing to do is to find your niche. Spencer already told it. Finding a niche and knowing who your audience is really important. And you can't really say that everyone matches your product, that everyone needs it, that everyone wants it. That's not the way how it goes. Because rule number 3, if you try to speak to everyone, you'll fail to reach anyone. Find your niche, because otherwise people won't listen to you at all. Then the lightsaber doesn't, it does have a role in the story, but it's like, you feel like, no, you can use this. And Yoda doesn't have whole stories about the lightsaber and how it's going to save his life. No, it's about how you use it. That's it. It's just a means. And that's also how you should promote your product. Not by just saying how awesome your product is, because nobody cares. Nobody gives a shit. Rule number 4, sell something and you make a customer. Help someone and you make a customer for life. He shows him how to use it, how you should use your product in order to achieve your goal. Don't sell your product. As I said, I worked for American Express, and to give you an example, American Express is a credit card, and the brand itself encourages its users to get more out of life. They want to address the hedonists. What do I do? Wait, no. I think I didn't figure it out. Anyway, what American Express does is it tries to make your life better and encourages people to get more out of life. What you just saw was one of the campaigns I did there, and we partnered up with Manners, and we basically had, it's called the Manners City Guide, where we gave the people tips, and it was like a series of blogs, a series of 6 blogs, where we just gave them advice on the hotspots on quite cool locations like Miami, Cape Town, Rio de Janeiro. And we didn't tell anything about American Express. It wasn't on our website. We didn't tell them how awesome we were. We just said to them, you know what, this is a really cool place you should go to, and I'm sure your holiday will be better because of it. Then halfway the page, we sort of mentioned something about how American Express makes your life better, but it was like hidden a bit. And other than that, people didn't even notice it. They just scrolled down and they just read the rest of the article. What we did after that was we had we targeted people who read the blogs, and we targeted people who didn't read the blogs. And I already spoiled it, but there was a 10% growth in brand recall. So we also asked them, did you know it was sponsored by American Express? And they were like, no, didn't know that. And then when we asked them, okay, so can you name a couple of credit card companies just out of the top of your mind? They were like, oh yeah, okay. And then the people who read it were more likely to mention American Express. So not selling your product, but still being there. Another important thing is knowing where your customer is in the sales funnel. A lot of you probably already know this model. It's from Google. It's a see, think, do, care model, sales funnel, where they show that there are 4 levels of 4 phases that people are in when they want to buy a product. And I think it's important to have different kinds of content for the different types of phases, obviously. So the first phase is the see phase, where people, where you have to make people aware of your product. They have to see you. They have to get to know you. This is the first time they get into contact with you. Then the second phase is the think phase, engage phase, the phase where they are considering your product, and they're comparing it to either your product or your competitor's product, or your product and spending their money elsewhere. And then the third phase is the do phase, which is the part where you actually have to convince them into buying a product. And then afterwards, you have the care, obviously, where you have to nurture them and make sure that they share it with their friends, family, colleagues, whatsoever. My point here is don't sell donuts during a marathon. It might sound odd, but there's a story behind this. I was cheering for a friend who was running the marathon, and halfway, or like 3/4 along the way, there was a girl giving donuts away to the people who ran the marathon. It was nice. It was a nice gesture, but nobody took the donuts, because why would anyone eat a donut during the race? There was about, I think, 50 meters later, there was another girl, I think, and she was giving away 3 slices of orange. Now, everyone took those oranges. It was kind of sad to see how the first girl was a bit disappointed. But the thing is, nobody wants a donut while running, because it's annoying, because you have to chew and everything. A slice of orange is a much better idea. So if she would have given the donut after the race, it would have made more sense. My point is, know where your audience is in their search for your product. Are they at the beginning of the stage? Are they at the end of the funnel? It makes a lot different. It makes a big difference in what kind of content you should create. Another example, and this is also from American Express, because my OCD likes it when I'm just talking about one company. When Justin Timberlake last year tried to, he was announcing his tour during the Super Bowl. And we already knew that beforehand. And so we targeted everyone who followed him on Instagram because they were most likely to be fans of Justin Timberlake. And we told them, if you want access to concert firsthand, click here. We couldn't mention his name, but click here. So obviously his fans were excited. And they were like, okay, yeah, I want that because Justin Timberlake is giving a concert. So I want to see how that works. Now, we made them land on 2 pages. We had an A/B test. And the first page was a product page that didn't say anything about Justin Timberlake or concerts or anything, but just, buy now, this is a product, we're awesome. The second page said more about the concerts, about how cool it would be that you would be the first one to have access to those tickets. So it was more like an imagine this kind of page. We tested them, obviously. The second one had more engagement, and we had a 400% more conversion on the second one. Again, know where your audience is in the stage because they weren't ready to buy a product right away when they clicked on that. I kind of skipped the conversion. Really, I didn't really go into it, but that doesn't mean that it's not important because what you see with a lot of companies is that they have all these great stories, and they don't really know what it brings to the table. So the example Spencer gave about Google and about Lego, those are really, really cool things. But let's face it, let's be honest, most companies don't have that kind of budget. So the important thing is, if you want to tell to your manager or if you have your own company, you probably think, that's great, but I don't have the budget to do that, and it eventually has to bring money in. So notice that beforehand and know what your KPIs are before you start anything. And that also starts with knowing where your audience is in the sales funnel, because in the end, like if they're at the bottom of the sorry. No, because if they're at the end of the sales funnel, then yeah, obviously they're one of the KPIs is selling your product. If they're at the beginning, then it's more awareness, then it's more brand recognition. Halfway, it might be how many visitors you get on your website. Know where they are and know what KPIs you have to put on each level. That's rule number 6. If you don't know where you're going, you won't know when you get there. Be clear on your KPIs. Then another thing is that a lot of companies want to be unique because your content has to be unique. There's so much content out there. You want to stand out. Sure, that's the case. But what you can also see is that sometimes you try to be too unique. Sometimes you try to think of things and it doesn't really work. But on the other hand, if you look at your competitors, you might just end up doing the same thing and you might get drawn into that. So one of the last examples is, rule number 7 is if you follow what your competition is doing, your content will look like your competitor's ass. An example of this is how, sorry, this is not a sexy slide, but American Express might not be the most popular credit card brand. And so as I was responsible for SEO, I was struggling a bit with trying to score good on the term credit card. I don't know if you guys can see it, but the competition was tremendous on this one. And we were probably not going to go anywhere with it. So instead of just trying really, really hard on trying to score good on credit card, I figured, you know what, there must be another way. There must be another way of reaching our customers. So I just thought, you know what, how does it work for PayPal? Because they're in the same branch. Turns out they have 20 times as much search volume as credit card, making it more interesting, especially since the competition is way lower as well, because no one was focusing on PayPal. So what we did was we created a page where we said you can link your American Express card to PayPal, tackling also another problem, the acceptance in Holland, which isn't that great, but if you link it to your PayPal, you can pay on pretty much any online store. So we tackled that problem as well, and no one was bidding on it, so yeah, we beat the competition in that. And we did that with more things as well, because with American Express, you save points with every euro you spend. So we said, okay, you just spend a lot as you can, and then afterwards you can pay all sorts of things with those points. For example, we linked it to Spotify as well, saying you can pay your Spotify account every month, you save points, because you have to pay it anyway, and from those points you can go to your favorite concert. Or we linked it to Netflix, where we said if you link it to your Netflix, you can save points and eventually go to a movie. So we linked that to a connection, and we wrote content about it, and we give them things in return anyway that they would have had anyway if they would spend their money. So you bring the extra value of your product to it. As I said earlier, is that a lot of companies try to be as unique as possible, and sometimes I think that they want to be a bit too unique, and they're losing sight of who they really are. Brings me to my last point. You can't really pretend to be anyone else because no one is buying it. Just be you, because you have an awesome product. You have an awesome company, and there are things that make you unique. So I would say stick to that. That's my last rule. Do what you say and say what you do. If you pretend to be something you're not, and people will find out because you're not saying as you say you would. And that's it.